Alright guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Cody. Behind me is my 2017 Toyota Tacoma SR5. And today I'm going to be doing a build walk around. I've had this truck brand new since 2017. It's got about 60,000 miles on it now, and it's in a really good spot. I've done a lot of things, but mainly I want to record this because there's a lot of big changes coming, and I feel like this is a really good position the truck's in for like a budget conscious build. So I just want to do like a build walk around. To start right away, it is, like I said, 2017 SR5. So manual key to start, no technology package, single zone climate control, no rear locker. About as basic as you can get other than the SR. It is the V6 3.5 with the automatic transmission, which has its pros and cons, but it's been good so far. The truck has a lot done to it. Starting with, actually I'm going to start in the front and I'll work my way to the rear. Alright, so the first thing up front is the actual first mod I did to the truck, and it is a TRD Pro style grille. You can go around to pretty much anyone on Instagram's page, any Toyota Tacoma in town, and they all have a TRD Pro grille. Yes, I know, it's no longer unique, but this was the first thing I did to it. And it's actually an authentic TRD Pro grille, back before everyone was making knockoffs, ordered it straight from Toyota. So I do like it, might switch it up, but that's the first thing I did to it, so it's kind of cool. The second thing to note up front is the ditch lights. These are Cali raised side projecting 18 watt ditch lights on their brackets as well. They're not technically the low profile, but yeah, it came with wiring harness, everything you need, wired them up. They've been on there since like the second month of the truck, so, and they've been really good. The next thing up front is the fog lights. These are the Diodynamics SS3 Pro SAE combo projection. It's a lot to get out, but these things are amazing. I will never go back to stock fog lights. These throw so much light, and I did have to adjust them once I first put them on because I was getting flashed like all the time, but yeah, they're road legal, and I rarely ever drive without them on because the stock headlights just are bad. Moving on to front suspension, this was a recent upgrade that I did because prior I just had a spacer lift, and just after owning it for so long and reading so many forums and seeing all the options out there, I was like, it's time to upgrade. So I went with Bilstein 6112s in the front. They're actually on 650 pound springs. Hey, Blue. There's Blue. I went with 650 pound springs due to coming upgrades. So these ride amazing. I originally had them at the top perch, and again, there's no weight on here right now other than skid plates, which I'll get to, but it was just too much preload. Rode really stiff, and I was topping out the shock literally over every bump I went. So adjusted those down, and it's much better, and I might have to do it again when I add more weight, but for now, they're amazing. Skid plates are the RCI, just main skid plate. It covers the front and then the oil pan. Didn't do anything else for now. But I did do their lower control arm skid plates as well because I like the look and they're cool. Next part of the front suspension is going to be the upper control arms. So going back, I just kept stock upper control arms up until very recently when I decided to upgrade everything suspension-wise. So I did get the SPC adjustable upper control arms. And I do have them cranked with as much caster as I possibly can for other future upgrades. These have been great. I love the serviceability of them, and excited to actually put them to use here soon. Two other things left with the front suspension. That would be upgraded bump stops. So I did go with Duro bumps, actually front and rear, so I'll just cover that now. I have the U-bolt flip kit in the rear, and then the replaced front bump stops up front. Best upgrade you can do for suspension, in my opinion. Stock bump stops are literally like rocks, and as soon as you reach them, it is very harsh. So if you can do that right away, absolutely do it. Last thing in the front for suspension wise, is the sway bar relocation bracket. I did get one. I did run sway bar removed for quite some time, and it's all right. I liked it in some situations, didn't like it in others. At the end of the day, I put it back on because it was just so much work going around corners. Not only like to drive the truck, but keeping your body like centered in the seat. I don't know, just my opinion. But yeah, that's everything in the front. Okay, so under the hood, it's pretty much stock. The only thing that I recently added was a HPS intake tube. So this replaces the stock intake manifold. It doesn't replace the box and the filter. It's just the tube that connects the stock intake box to the motor. And I did this because I used to have a K&N, just open air intake, cold air intake, and it was great. It was really loud, and made cool noises, but at the end of the day, it was still sucking in hot air, and it didn't really do anything. So got rid of that, went back to stock for a while, but I missed the noise. So that's why I recently changed to the HPS, because it is just the tube and doesn't make as much noise. It's very subtle, but when you really get on the throttle, it's noticeable. Second thing under the hood has to do with electrical, with wiring. I have an aux beam 8-gang switch under there and the fuse panel. Everything else is pretty much stock, but that's how I run all my accessories, just off the main stock battery still. Moving further down the truck, if you notice, I have mirrors with turn signals in them. So for some reason, back when I got the truck, I just really like the look of the turn signals. SR5s, by the way, don't come with them. Newer ones might, don't quote me on it, but I really wanted turn signals in my mirrors, so I bought aftermarket, like knockoff Toyota mirrors and just wired them up myself. I just went right into the front bulbs here, and they work great. And then in them are the Miso Customs blacked out ultimate LED turn signals. And I will pause here and just say everything I'm talking about will be linked down in the description. Some of it's going to be on Amazon, and just know if you do click on those and choose to buy, or sometime in the near future choose to buy, it does help me out just through affiliate links. It all goes back into the channel and just fuels my love of making videos to put out there for you guys. So on to the next part. Down underneath the truck are some sliders. So these are actually custom built. I met a guy on Facebook Marketplace, Dustin. If you're watching this, again, huge thank you. You did some awesome work. Drove a few hours away from where I'm at currently, and he measured them up, spec'd them out, and built them for me literally on site. And these things have been awesome. I brought them back, drilled a few extra holes in the frame, and mounted them up, painted them, and they've worked amazing. I've put them into a few trees here and there, and can't complain. So the truck is sitting on obviously different wheels and tires. These are fuel hostage 18-inch by 9-inch wheels with a -12 offset. These have been great wheels. Again, I put these on back before I knew anything about off-roading or overlanding or really the truck community in general. And it was honestly just a package combo from Le Schwab, and it's worked really good. I won't be going back to an 18-inch wheel, I'll tell you that, just for a lot of different reasons. But the wheels are wrapped in Toyo Open Country AT2s in a 285/65/18, which is like a 32-inch tire essentially. They've been great. I've had them for like 50,000 miles, and they've performed really well. Only recently have I been getting stuck more, especially in the winter, just because I have probably 20% tread left, and it's just time to get something different. But that's what they're sitting on. I think it looks great. I'm definitely excited for what I'm moving towards, but this has been an awesome setup. And just because I know it's going to get asked, I did rub on this setup before I did a cab mount shop. So, and that was on stock upper control arm. So stock suspension with just a space to lift. These wheels, tires, I rubbed pretty significantly when turning and reversing, especially off-road if I did any of that. But after a cab mount chop, it went away immediately. I did a pretty deep cab mount chop, which helped out a ton. And then once I put on the upper control arms, it just made that clearance even greater, and I'm pretty confident with what I'm going to that I won't have to trim too much more. I definitely have to trim, but more to come. Alrighty, in the rear is the Bilstein 5160s with remote reservoirs on some Icon RXT leaf packs. So currently they're on stage 2, which is the medium duty, about, oh gosh, it's probably like 2.75 inches of lift, which is way too much for me. I put it on stage 2 to begin with because we did have a rooftop tent, which we sold and went back to a ground tent, which if you're curious, made a video on that as to why. So check that out up here. But yeah, I need to adjust the leaf pack a little bit. I might go to stage 1 just to see, because it rides a little stiff and it's a little high in the rear. So I want to fix the rake. But again, great setup. The Bilstein 5160s are not made for that amount of lift, so it's kind of rough right now just because I do need to adjust them again. But I'm confident once I get it back down there, it's going to be great. All right, on top of the bed is a bed rack. It's a hybrid of custom made and a front runner bed rack. I originally had the front runner slimline bed rack that was just the mid-level tent on top. Again, sold the tent and didn't really need a mid-height bed rack, so I wanted to get something higher so I can move back to carrying my mountain bike in the bed. So got some steel, fabbed up something that just raises that front runner up to the cab height, and it's been great so far. I kind of have some ideas of what I want to add to it further on. I have some recovery boards that are not on it right now. I used to run on it. Blue's going absolutely crazy. She loves it. Yeah, so I want to mount the recovery boards to it, as well as get some what's the other things? The other things that carry gas, you know what I'm talking about. I'll fill it in right here. Yeah, and then in the bed, I just have some custom mounts that I made for my high lift jack, which just sit along the side. And in the bed cubby, I have the Expedition Essentials mount with the ARB twin air compressor. And then I have that air feeding down into the bumper with a chuck right by the license plate. And it works really well. But yeah, outside of that, there's just a few kind of cosmetic upgrades I did. The fender flares are not Line X, but they're coated in a bed coating, just Rust-Oleum. I also replaced the bumper caps. I originally had chrome. I then painted them to match, and it started chipping. So then I went and got just the ABS black plastic, and that's what's currently on there now. Also back there are the TRD Pro Style taillights from Running for Tacos. That was a great upgrade simply because I backed into a tree and smashed one of my taillights on accident. Bed are some Rago Fabrication bed stiffeners. I put these on when I did have the bed rack and the tent. Probably don't need them now. Adds extra tie downs, which is cool, but yeah, probably not necessary if you're not running any weight. So, and I think the last little cosmetic thing is on the headlights. I've just got some black vinyl overlays on the ambers to make it look a little more cool. But yeah, guys, I think that's about it. It's a lot. I'm not gonna do anything on the interior because there's nothing crazy. Miso Customs Chrome Delete kits and the switches. That's about it. But yeah, that's the truck. There you guys, that's the video. I really appreciate it if you made it this far. If you liked what you saw, click and subscribe, click like. Like I said, a lot of big upgrades coming for the truck behind me. and I'm just super stoked to see the next phase of the build. So stick with me for that, and I really appreciate you guys. See you later.